What if the secret to your most vibrant garden isn't in a store-bought bag, but something you're flushing away every day? We're diving deep into the surprisingly fierce battle between Humanure and traditional compost. Prepare to rethink everything you thought you knew about soil enrichment and discover which method truly builds the ultimate garden foundation. The dirty secret: why your compost might not be enough. Fellow gardeners, let's have an honest conversation about what we're really feeding our soil. Most of us have mastered the art of traditional composting, layering kitchen scraps, adding brown materials, turning our piles religiously, and waiting for that beautiful black gold to emerge. We've been told this is the pinnacle of sustainable gardening, and for good reason. Traditional compost has transformed countless gardens and built thriving ecosystems in backyards around the world. But here's where things get interesting, and perhaps a bit uncomfortable. While we're carefully curating our compost piles with coffee grounds and banana peels, we're simultaneously flushing away one of nature's most potent soil builders. The nutrients we consume don't simply vanish when they leave our bodies, they transform into something that could revolutionize our garden's potential. This isn't about being gross or controversial for shock value, it's about understanding the complete nutrient cycle that our modern sanitation systems have disconnected us from. Traditional composting, while excellent, primarily recycles the nutrients we didn't consume from our food. Humanure composting, on the other hand, captures and transforms the concentrated nutrients our bodies have processed, creating a fertilizer profile that's remarkably different and often more potent than anything we can create with kitchen scraps alone. Humanure uncovered, beyond the taboo. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room head-on. Humanure is simply human waste that has been safely composted through specific thermophilic processes that eliminate pathogens while preserving nutrients. For thousands of years, civilizations from China to medieval Europe understood this practice as essential for soil fertility and food security. The night soil systems of Asia fed billions of people for centuries, creating some of the most fertile agricultural regions on Earth. The modern aversion to humanure isn't actually rooted in science, it's more about cultural conditioning from our transition to water-based sewage systems. You know, when you examine the actual nutritional profile of properly composted humanure, the results are pretty remarkable. The nitrogen content typically ranges from 1.5 to 2.5%, phosphorus from 1 to 2%, and potassium from 0.5% to 1%. Compare this to typical kitchen scrap compost, which often contains just 0.5% to 1% nitrogen, and you really begin to understand why our ancestors valued this resource so highly. The key word here is, properly composted. Safe Humanure composting requires maintaining temperatures above 131 degrees Fahrenheit, or 55 degrees Celsius, for extended periods, typically through the Berkeley method or, similar hot composting techniques. This isn't a casual weekend project. It demands understanding pathogen destruction, proper carbon-nitrogen ratios, and honestly, some rigorous temperature monitoring. But when done correctly, the resulting compost is pathogen-free and creates soil biology that's, remarkably vibrant and diverse. Traditional compost, the tried-and-true champion. Before we get carried away with the allure of the forbidden fruit, let's give traditional composting the respect it deserves. Kitchen scrap and yard waste composting remains the backbone of regenerative gardening for excellent reasons. It's accessible to virtually every gardener, requires no special permits or community acceptance, and provides a perfect entry point for understanding soil biology and nutrient cycling. Traditional compost excels in creating balanced soil structure through diverse organic matter. When you combine fruit and vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, eggshells, grass clippings, and fallen leaves, you're creating a complex matrix of nutrients that release slowly over time. This diversity feeds different soil microorganisms at different rates, creating a sustained fertility program that can last for months or even years in your garden beds. The safety profile of traditional composting is also significantly more forgiving. While you still need to achieve proper temperatures to break down potential pathogens from animal products, the risks are considerably lower than with Humanure. Most gardeners can successfully create pathogen-free compost without sophisticated monitoring equipment or extensive training. This accessibility has made traditional composting the cornerstone of home food production and sustainable gardening practices worldwide. Furthermore, traditional compost provides exceptional soil conditioning beyond nutrition. The lignin from woody materials, the calcium from eggshells, and the varied particle sizes from different organic materials create soil structure that improves drainage, water retention, and root penetration simultaneously. This physical soil improvement is often more valuable than the nutritional boost alone. Alright, so, the ultimate showdown, a head-to-head comparison. When we compare these two soil builders side by side, the differences become fascinating rather than obvious. Humanure typically delivers more concentrated nutrition, particularly nitrogen and phosphorus, making it exceptionally valuable for heavy-feeding crops like tomatoes, corn, and leafy greens. A single application of properly composted Humanure can provide the nitrogen requirements for an entire growing season, whereas traditional compost might require multiple applications or supplementation. However, traditional compost wins in the trace element department. Kitchen scraps and yard waste introduce a broader spectrum of micronutrients because they represent a more diverse range of plant and mineral sources. The practical implementation differs dramatically between these approaches. Traditional composting can begin today with materials you already have, requires minimal space, and integrates seamlessly into most neighborhoods without raising eyebrows. Humanure composting requires significant preparation, dedicated space away from living areas, and often involves navigating local regulations and social considerations. Safety protocols also vary substantially. Your garden's future: choosing your path to peak soil. The choice between Humanure and traditional compost isn't necessarily either-or for many gardeners. Your decision should align with your comfort level, local regulations, garden goals, and commitment to learning proper techniques. If you're growing food for your family and want the most straightforward path to excellent soil, traditional composting provides outstanding results with minimal risk and maximum social acceptance. For gardeners ready to close the loop completely and maximize nutrient cycling, Humanure composting offers unparalleled sustainability and soil nutrition. This path requires education, proper equipment, and dedication to safe practices, but the resulting soil biology and fertility can be extraordinary. Consider starting with traditional composting to master the fundamentals of decomposition, soil biology, and safety protocols before advancing to Humanure if you choose that path. Regardless of your choice, focus on proper technique over speed or convenience. Both methods require understanding carbon-nitrogen ratios, moisture management, temperature monitoring, and pathogen reduction. Both create soil that can transform your garden's productivity and health when applied correctly. Remember that the best soil builder is the one you'll use consistently and safely. Whether you choose the time-tested path of kitchen scrap composting or venture into the more advanced territory of Humanure, your soil will thank you for any organic matter that increases its biological activity and nutrient content. Ready to take your soil building to the next level? Subscribe to the Living Soil Lab for more in-depth guides on advanced composting techniques, soil biology, and sustainable gardening practices. Share this guide with fellow gardeners who are ready to think outside the conventional composting box. Your garden community will thank you for sparking this important conversation.